Welcome back to the Making the Madness Team Preview Series. Today we will be discussing the Marquette Golden Eagles.
Golden Eagles this season will be star guard DJ Carton, a transfer from Ohio State. At the shooting guard, Kobe McEwen. At the three, Jamal Cain. At the four, longtime Golden Eagle Theo John. And at the five, incoming star freshman Dawson Garcia.
Yeah, I think the immediate, attention turner is DJ Carden. He was really good as a freshman at Ohio State. Had some up and downs, but uh, just looking back, he had some really outstanding games. Ended up transferring to Marquette. Dealing with mental health issues. We obviously hope the best for him and hope he can, put those demons aside and be an excellent player at Marquette. But just having him is going to be, I think, a big ceiling raiser for this Marquette team. He's, an outstanding guard, and I think someone that can be a superstar here in the near future.
Yeah, definitely. DJ Carton's a fantastic player. I mean, last season, even though his season was limited, and by the way, just props to him for, realizing that he was dealing with some mental health issues and deciding to sit out rather than just try to put it all at the side and keep playing because mental health issues are far more important than any sport. And, that's a thing that's important to me. I've written about my mental health issues, so if you're a viewer here and haven't read that and want to check it out, it's on the site. It's my pinned tweet on Twitter at Sean02MTM, so check that out. But DJ Carton is he does everything you want. He shot 48% from the field last year, 40% from deep. He's honestly a guy I could see going 50, 40, 90. I wouldn't be surprised. He just has a beautiful shot. He's a strong lefty guard. He's a good defender. He's a good facilitator. He does everything you want. And then McEwen last year was, interesting stat line. He was super inefficient. He just wasn't good last year. But when you have Marcus Howard taking a majority of the shots, that's bound to happen.
Yeah, and looking at the rest of this roster, McEwen and Kane, they can both hit shots, but I really don't see it happening like at a high enough level to uh, really be that all that effective. And then the front court, Theo John, Dawson Garcia. It'll be interesting to see what Garcia does, but at least with Theo John, we kind of know what he is, and he's kind of a not capable shooter. He's good rebounder, uh, good for getting 5 fouls a game. So he's an interest. He's a player that we kind of know what he is at this point, and uh, it, I think the Golden Eagles are just lining up to have Dawson Garcia take over at the five.
Yeah, definitely. Theo Johns, he is what he is at this point. But Dawson Garcia is a really good player.
Yeah, and then as for McEwen and Kane, McEwen was inconsistent. He looked good for a period of time in Big East play. Hit a couple big shots uh, that kind of ended up, you know, late in the season. Marquette was on the bubble, but a big reason they were able to stay on the right side of the bubble was because kind of early in the season, McEwen hit a couple big shots to help them win a couple, close games. But McEwen just fell off a cliff late in the season. They'll need him to return to some sort of form, be like a 15 point a game type player. But if he can do that, that's obviously big for Marquette. But if not, that's where I really find it hard to find Marquette being anywhere near the NCAA tournament bubble.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with that.
Coming off the bench for Marquette will be Samir Torrance, Greg Elliott, Justin Lewis, Dexter Akanko, and Ike Ike.
Yeah, definitely. Not the deepest bench at all. They have a lot of question marks there. Justin Lewis is a bigger guy, but Akonko and Ike are unproven guys who will need to prove themselves before they, get a big role this season.
Yeah, and then looking at the bench, I kind of think Samir Torrance could be interesting. Obviously, with G.J. Carton, he'll probably be coming off the bench, but maybe Torrance can play a little bit off ball, become more of a shooter. Maybe they decide McEwen and Kane aren't worthy of playing all that many minutes, so maybe let's try out a Samir Torrance, DJ Carton lineup, and I think that could be interesting. But Torrance is a solid player. I think we'll have a better season, but ultimately, like I, I'm not completely sold on him being a you know high level impact player as well.
Yeah, definitely. Torrance and Elliott are both solid players, but not stars by any means.
Yeah, definitely, and that is why they are on the bench.
The key departures for the Marquette Golden Eagles will be headlined by Marcus Howard. Then you have Brendan Bailey and Jace Johnson.
Yeah, obviously you can't go without Marquette and talking about Marcus Howard because he was a superstar. Uh, Played 29 minutes, averaged 27.8 points per game. Uh, has been you know one of the elite scorers in college basketball history. Hit the 3,000 point mark earlier this season. He's just an elite scorer. And the other thing about him is, yeah, he's a high volume shooter. He also shoots 41. He shot 41% this past season from three. Was even above that in his previous seasons. He's an efficient, high volume, high level scorer. That's just something you don't find. He'll be certainly missed for this Marquette team, and you're just not going to find anyone like Marcus Howard off the street.
Yeah, you definitely won't. Marcus Howard, obviously the Big East all-time leading scorer. He's just someone that's irreplaceable. You'll not get a player like him again, probably, but it's tough. And then Brendan Bailey isn't someone to gloss over either. He is also a very good player. He is a couple years older than the rest of his class. He's 23, and he was a sophomore this past season. He went on a Mormon mission, so that's why he's older than the rest of his class. That was a 2-year-long thing. But he's a very good wing player who one day should get some, reasonable time in the NBA.
I would find that unlikely, but maybe.
6'8" guy who can shoot nearly 40%.
Yeah, I think he'll be playing in Turkey.
Well, we'll see.
And then Jace Johnson, transferred in from Utah, was kind of looking to play somewhat of a role. Really didn't last season,
Didn't.
so he's.
Yeah.
They got Dawson Garcia, so they'll easily replace him.
Yeah, Johnson was hurt. He was hurt early in the year and then just never got going.
Yeah. Looking forward to this upcoming season. Time to get into some expectations. The first question I have are they able to get above 500 in Big East play? Obviously, they weren't able to do so last season, but do you think they can do that potentially this season?
We're having 20. This is assuming we're having 20 Big East games.
Yes.
I'm going to say yes. I think they do. I think this team from top to bottom. I think they go 11-9. I don't think it's anything crazy, but I think they could go 11-9 this year in conference.
I wouldn't rule it out, but I'm still a little bit lower on Marquette than probably you are. I think obviously Creighton, Villanova, Seton Hall, UConn, those teams I think are clearly a little bit better than Marquette, and then I just think Providence is another team I would throw in the NCAA tournament mix as well. But there's a lot of good teams in the Big East, and Marquette just doesn't stand out as one to me. So I'm going to go under on the 500 in Big East play.
Yeah, I get that, but at the same time, can they beat DePaul twice? Can they beat Georgetown twice? That one should be a given. Georgetown's a disaster. Can they beat St. John's one time? Can they beat Butler? And then can they steal one from Seton Hall or UConn or Villanova?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Big East has a lot of mediocre teams, and Marquette is definitely one of them.
Yeah, most certainly.
Then the next question is, can they make the NCAA tournament? I think you're more equipped to answer this.
I mean, again, anything's possible. I don't think they're a lock for the tournament by any means, but can they make the tournament? I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I think they can. I will say they don't make the NCAA tournament. I just think the Big East as is isn't all that strong. And then you throw in a Marquette team. I like DJ Carton. I think he's going to come in and be a superstar player. But last season they were a bubble team when they had Marcus Howard, who was a first team All American, and less DJ Carton's, being a first team All American level player. I just don't see where they're able to, kind of replicate that level of production and success. And I think Carton's going to be a really good player. I do think this team has some young pieces that can lead them into the future to being a tournament team going forward, but I just don't see it this year. So I'm going to go with they missed the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I get either side of the argument.